Hello and welcome. This is NerdDragon88 here. It's Dwarven Crusade again. I'm joined by a myriad of the cast. I'm joined by several other people, of course our players, who will be getting into their introductions in just a moment. I am unfortunately having to try a different method for our recording tonight because of my unreliable internet. Which means that...
Unreliable is an understatement.
Yeah. It means that I'm cycling things through one device into the microphone that I use to record everything, that awesome Blue Yeti from my father, without whom this would not ever work. So let's get into our current cast and new member of the cast with an explanation as to various things. So, starting off, we have Metgath.
Hey.
As thrilling as ever. Wolf?
Hello, and have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Razor.
Oh,
And our new member, Apocalyptian, or Apoc.
that name they said. I'll call him App.
Yeah. Or we can... Yeah, or we can call him Phill. Or we can call him by his character's name. Which reminds me, it is now time for me to reveal his sheet to the rest of you.
Oh, goody.
Do-do-do-do.
Yes. Feel free to fucking choke, bash me for it.
Chok. So, yeah.
Oh god, he's a green skin.
Yes.
He is. So,
Oh
yes.
god damn it.
Well,
If you don't know
good thing I
which,
know Goblin.
yeah, if you're not entirely certain which characters are being played by the other players, you should probably go back and watch some of our previous episodes. Although a quick rundown would be Metgath is Denault, Wolf is Sage, Razor is Orsic. And as far as
The dwarf that don't trust the green skins. And now we have a green skin.
The exact same thing when the elf showed up.
Well, I'm sorry. I just know elves in the whorehouse. What can I say?
So, and I did manage to get some better lighting set up here so you guys can see my face a bit better.
Well, I don't see you at all, so.
Yeah, I'm also not seeing your face, which is kind of weird. I might have accidentally...
I have a broadcast of video and voice.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
I see you. Oh, I see you. Oh, ho, ho. Yeah, as you can see, the glorious beard kind of disappeared.
Ah.
I was trimming, the cat scared me, and I went, what?
So, starting over
So
from
I had
Phill.
half the beard done already, so I figured, okay, what the hell? Well, what? It was like friggin' 7:30 o'clock in the morning. I was into my music. Was not expecting anything to brush up against my leg at that time in the morning. And yeah,
That's alright. You'll get your glorious beard back.
you know me. It grows fast.
So,
I have a half beard.
when we last left off our heroes, they had been exploring a whole bunch and found out a whole bunch of new information, including that the murder weapon for these mysterious murders were contaminated.
Like that. It's the beast coming out of the darkness. The darkness gave birth to the darkness. Anyways.
food.
Alright.
It's called a lollipop, not food. Right.
Yes, the weapon is contaminated by something that will help heal you. If it doesn't kill you first.
So that all might be a little bit loud. So the player should now be able to hear some sound.
And you can't go wrong with butterscotch, leave me alone. Yes, I can.
That's when that's loud.
What do you want, Purple? Good job.
Okay. So, there was also the discovery that gnolls have been attacking recently. Corsic, Steel Maul, was spending a lot of time up on the walls. Denault had... I remember Denault having... Oh, I think Denault went and joined Sage at the healer's hut, or whatever I was calling it. Surgeon's tent? Something like that?
Yeah, I was over there doing some investigating, and then who's Sage?
The elf.
I was over there by myself. They were off at the commander's room, I think, and then Orsic came back.
Right.
Just I was getting ready to go somewhere, I don't remember where. I was over there by myself initially.
Okay. Which I'm sure all of you guys can know this, or remember this from, the last video, but it's been like 3 weeks for us. Which has been because of holidays and real-world issues and partly having enough players, which Raxmo has decided to step out of the game, at least for now, because of his various stuff going on and setting up his new life.
He doesn't love us anymore.
Yeah, we're uncertain if he's going to be returning, but...
I don't. He hardly talks to me anymore.
Just don't know. Alright.
And there's the foghorn.
So, okay, so my internet might have just gone out again, but we're going to keep continuing because Discord is not connected to the
Hey,
moment.
nerd, can you turn down the music a little bit? I can barely hear you.
I do have the 200%, so I can barely hear him.
You should be able to turn down how much you can hear the music, but I'll try lowering it myself
just
with more
muted
here.
the tab. Oh my goodness, just the tab.
But it's about the atmosphere.
I agree. But when I'm sitting here, I can't even hear his damn voice over the damn music.
Apparently,
We got a problem.
Apparently, I can't turn it down because I don't have internet, or because my connection has dropped. So that flashing will continue until connection reestablishes, and then I'll be able to fix the music. Alright. But, pushing our way through this. Well, except that if you guys can't hear me, there's no point in pushing through. You know
I
what?
couldn't hear you.
It's called massive volume over everything.
We'll be right back as soon as I fix the music. I'm not actually going anywhere. I'm putting that in for the recording part. So we're now officially off the record. As far as YouTube is concerned. We're still on the Twitch, though. Hello, Twitch! Okay, how's that?
Much better.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, you know you have bad skills when you don't even take off. You take the plastic ring with the cap.
That or you have one very attached ring. So, and we're back. I've managed to turn down the music a bit. As a note for you guys, if you can turn it down if you can turn down the volume of your browser, you should be able to turn down the music. Metgath doesn't have that luxury at the moment because because the incident happened so long ago with his computer getting jacked.
He's in the process of moving, so everything's scattered to the wind.
Yeah. Alright, so. Getting back into this. So yeah, there was the going and talking to the doctor, and there was then the reinforcing of the walls. And you guys got permission to do a nighttime patrol.
Okay. Well, I'm up
more to the point, we have permission to do damn near anything we want now, because a guy that knows us is here.
Anything that's
and
legal.
in charge. Huh?
Anything that's legal.
Yeah. Like I said, damn near anything.
Alright, so. There was some kind of cliffhanger that we ended last session off on. I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
I know Orsic, I think, was heading somewhere. He was stopping by where I was on the way.
I was headed to talk to the guy in charge to let him know that these soldiers don't appreciate our authority, nor do they appreciate his authority.
Ah, right, you guys are going to go talk to the sergeant. Whose name is in my notes. Which I should probably go make a copy of my notes on here at some point in the Roll20.
Trying to remember where I was. Honestly, don't remember.
You know, actually, it's been so long that I think we all need a refresher real quick. So, I'm going to have to pause the recording again to go and double check. Better, we'll just restart it and cut out this whole bit. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to do... Episode 15. When we last left off, around his waist.
Okay.
And these kind of purple splotches on his chest.
Okay. I see Denal and I go, you asked me to look at something?
I look up and I go, yes, over here.
You and your
I like
claws.
And what would you like me to look at?
I show him the ring. And I say that each of these... Yes, the pair of rings.
I said, give me 1 second.
So you report to him, I'll report to her.
So yeah, I'll go knock on his door.
And this is technically why I did not start the live stream, because I knew we were not
I
pretty.
had some guards disrespect me. Because they don't
Remember
think
where I
that,
was?
you know, I mean,
I was currently heading
our
to the
temporary captain of
physician
this
hut.
force is worth their title, and they're waving me off, which they're slacking on their duties with a possible.
No, I know what someone was talking about
on this force.
the petition at one point. I don't know.
And you know how I
I
take
butterscotch, I'm happy.
very seriously.
Yeah. So, Nerd, where is his assistant? Is she near him?
You will actually be able to find her fairly easily because of the fact that she's probably the most colorful person that's walking around at the moment, because she is dressed in the colors of the Hammer Guard.
Okay.
With the additional red pauldrons.
Okay. When I see her, I say, I'm gonna report to her. I just don't
What's
really
he
feel like
doing right
bothering him when he has
Reveal
so
I don't
much
know.
to do. But what you're telling me, he should know. So you report to him, I'll report to her.
So yeah, I'll go knock on his door.
Hey.
So that's the trade-off. I was going to tell her what I found. That the first person, the lady just had her throat split. The next one had actually been attacked, probably because he woke up, got into the straw.
I have a cleaning rod.
That is that'll just completely eliminate it. This way, and it's gonna lead you to a room that's only like 2 doors down from where you guys were staying.
You glitched out there again.
So Sage was
Oh,
doing
this
CSI work.
explains why I heard the noises last night.
Oh yeah.
I open up the room.
I believe that was the workroom.
And well, the guard will go ahead and open up the door for you, let you in, and there's a little bit of signs of there having been combat, and a set of sheets was very much tossed off from where the was sleeping.
Investigating
The other one was carefully peeled back in place.
the previous
completely thrown
Dwarven
off.
commanders.
And you checked his room, and then you checked the other room of the other victims from that same night.
Yes.
Nice.
Pretty.
There are only so many. And Razor had already gone and talked with the
I'll
sergeant.
one up you. I'll have a good time.
What do you say?
Screw you, good bears. I got ale.
I don't remember. I thought I was going in there, and that's when we left off.
That would be kind of surprising to be able to make.
I have a bow.
Because as soon as I found out that I had, these guys didn't consider me a warrior,
An arrow.
and they considered that because I was a king hammer that
Okay,
I had no
so,
authority at this fort.
This is time where I do.
Because I know early on, when it first started, we were both in there talking. We were all in there talking to the guy.
There's a substantial dent in the floor near to where there's a chair with a dent.
In this I'm probably gonna have to head off.
I felt disrespected, that's why I was going back.
Or are you planning on also questioning the sergeant further?
It's a good reason.
No.
You kind of sprinkled across the floor. Or is it, are you planning on just doing a report, or are you planning on also questioning the sergeant further?
No, I figured Denault did.
Yeah, because as soon as we finished talking to him, to the guy, at first, I went over to the physician's tent, and I started investigating the bodies. Orsic went to the walls to check on those, make sure everything was good there, and he went over to the... Wolf went over to the other place, the room, and then I called Orsic while I was looking near the end, looking at the bodies, which I was able to have that time because of how long it would take Orsic to get over to the walls and back. Thought that's what had gone on.
Yeah, Sage also checked out the other room, which had a couple in it. Which had been under protection. The lady had had her throat cleanly slit, and the gentleman had been stabbed repeatedly and had many wounds. So, alright. And we're back. I fixed music levels. We got some of the lighting going. We've got a recap between us, so we now actually know a bit of what's going on. And actually, I was wrong when I was off camera doing some of the recap. Razor did not actually get, in fact, a chance to talk to him because there was the question of whether it should be a report or if there was something more that he wanted to question him or ask him about. Which Razor was kind of thinking that Donald would be handling all that stuff, which I think part of it was just Razor being tired. So, yeah. So it looks like we're going to be opening up with Razor going and visiting our dude.
I'll try to be respectful even though I'm pissed. But I will, in a respectful, pissed off way, bang on the door.
So there's a couple of guards just outside the door, and they'll simply open it for you.
Sir, we have to talk. And sorry for interrupting anything.
Alright. What's up?
Some of the guards looking over my shoulder around here don't exactly, how should I put this, approve of us being in charge. I was up on the wall doing what you asked and getting the defenses. And some of the guards, all they did was wave me off and went back to just standing there facing the wrong direction.
It's likely that they don't approve because you're not one of them.
They also said you were a joke and you were not their commander.
Same story, different place.
You tell me if I had any problems, I'll let you know. I'm letting you know. I know a little bit about fortifying little locations to get them up and running, but it takes a good effort. I can't do it all by myself.
But I'll be heading out there to ensure some discipline.
I'll be coming along with you. I want to see their faces. As to me, I don't know about you, but I look at it this way. Disrespecting me is like disrespecting the king, because I'm following the king's orders. And you don't really disrespect the king in front of me. I don't know about you.
If it was up to me, every person who said a negative word about our king would be executed.
Oh, I'm not that extreme, but discipline is in order. Shall we take care of it now? Because the last time I checked, it's getting nighttime, and if they're facing the wrong way, they can't tell if anything's trying to sneak in over the walls from behind.
I suspect the day guard decided to slack off just because the gnolls haven't been seen near the fort during the day. But
either way you look at it, I don't like the disrespect.
It's understandable.
I mean, come on. For one, I'm a goddamn steel maul, and I've earned my place in this world. And two, Come on, you take on the head of one of the Hammers, and you disrespect him? I'm sorry, I am new to the Hammer Squad, but that's just beyond disrespectful.
I have also heard some of the guards whispering about how they think that me and you are in cahoots and murdered their commanding officer.
I'm sorry. You can ask my attendant last night. We were barricaded in our room with the door locked. I needed some much rested sleep last night.
These edge territories seem to not care about the crown and are getting disrespectful. I need to reassert the reason why our king is in control of these lands.
And at this point while we're talking, I'll literally lean against the wall. Do you mind if I lean? I'm just I'm so pissed off right now I can't stand straight.
And he's gonna grab his hammer. His massive two-handed warhammer.
I'll raise an eyebrow watching.
Well, okay, it's not really that massive. The head is more realistically proportioned than a lot of other things. It's about twice the size of a normal sledgehammer head.
Okay.
Which is still pretty damn big.
Yeah.
Mithril. Which is probably the only reason why he can get away with that.
Exactly, because that thing's gonna be heavy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, like, it's like a good 30 pounds or something like that at the end. So it's pretty hefty.
Anyways, back to the story.
Yeah, and he's then going to just straight up go out the doors.
I will follow him and taking my weapon off my back so I can keep up with him.
And he's going to tell the two guards to close and lock the doors and ensure that until he comes back through that nobody else goes into the office.
At this time, I will just smile from ear to ear, thinking in my head, I feel sorry for anyone who's going to get the receiving end of that hammer.
I'll follow as well.
Okay.
And right now, I'm in nothing more than my workout shorts, so it's like... so I have the maximum maneuverability and, dodging and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy's, you said hammer guard?
Yeah.
We're all technically hammer guard.
Except for
that
me.
makes... What is he then? Like, is he part of the King's Guard? Is he a part of
the Hammer Guard are
the
supposed
military
to be,
what?
The Hammer Guard are basically supposed to be the ultimate law authority. They answer specifically in their own chain of command, and even that only responds to the king himself. Everyone else is supposed to be able to answer to them, at least militarily speaking, and law-wise. So any guards or whatever would answer to them. Normally, it's like one for several towns, as basically the marshal.
He's the sheriff of the Old West.
He's basically the equivalent of a U.S. Marshal.
Got it. Alright, okay. And we're like his deputies.
Well, you're the how should I put it? The civilian consultants.
And I'm the elf.
So, yeah.
You're the token elf tagging along with the dwarves.
So he's then going to go about towards where the rooms were.
And I'll make sure I'm not walking faster than him or anyone else. I'm staying right in the middle.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm still checking the
But
rooms.
I can easily jump to the front if there's a fray going to happen. That's why I have my weapon ready. I use it as a polearm. Take to the
So, Wolf.
Yes.
Sage is going to find something just before a bunch of events happen, which is kind of like under one of the beds. There's a bunch of long orange hairs.
Pluck the hairs.
They're rather
carefully.
thin hairs too. They're kind of like fur.
Even more things to add to this. I put the hairs into a glass bottle that I happened to get from the physician. After just remembering it now.
And shortly after stuffing that in there, you're going to be hearing a bit of a commotion outside the room. So for Razor and Denal, what you're going to be seeing is Sergeant Stafford is going to walk up to the guards that are kind of hanging outside the room, which are supposed to be assisting. I believe there's two of them. You, go round up all the day shift and make sure that the night shift get to their posts. Double time. You, where's the elf?
Who's he talking to?
He's pointing to one of the other guards who's thinking to kind of gesture to the door. With a thumb like so, over the shoulder.
And I'll see the guard just walking off. I go, he said double time, damn it!
Yeah, the dwarf is going to do its best it can to sprint, which is not very good because short legs.
Poke my head out of the room. What is with all the yelling?
I'll look back over and I grin and went, I'm having fun.
Oh, good to see that. At least you're not breathing down my neck.
Ah, Sage.
Speaking of which, did you make sure you sharpen your arrows and your spears and swords and daggers or whatever you have to sharpen?
It's Sage, right?
I sharpened my... Yes, I've sharpened... Yes, he's yelling at me.
Yeah, the sergeant's going, it's Sage, right?
Yes.
Well, for
specifically interrupting your guys' conversation to ask this.
Oh, hey. I found these. I showed the hairs.
What the heck are those from?
Form of animal. This just further increases the chances of air tiger.
At least we're getting close to some answers.
And yes, this is Sage.
Alright. Need you to come with me.
May I ask why?
Need to make sure that the day shift and those who patrol the courtyard and buildings will actually understand what they're supposed to be doing.
I look over at Sage and I go, needless to say, some dumbasses aren't listening or following our orders, even though that we're pretty much his right-hand man, pointing to the sergeant.
What would what role would it take to identify the hairs?
You could try a nature check.
Investigation, nature.
Nature.
Probably not nature. Nature?
I'll roll it too.
Damn it, internet.
And I'll assist. I was looking over at my character sheet, but yeah, I'll assist. assist you.
Well, you guys have to make separate checks because it's a knowledge-based thing.
Okay.
No. I'm doing a history check. Screw it.
And
So knowledge-based checks you can't assist on?
Correct.
and I will do my
My history is 21.
Okay.
Wolf's nature is 17, and Mythcat's nature is 6.
Yeah. I mean, technically, you can, like, consult to assist, but I know you guys are sitting there all talking to each other, trying to figure this out.
Because we're doing this as we follow the guy. We don't want to slow him down while we do it.
Yeah. Okay,
still
so
think
we
it's
had
a were-tiger.
So I heard a 16 and a 6. Or is it 17?
No, there's a 17 on nature, a 6 on nature, and a 21 on history.
Pretty much, I probably look at it and go, it's hair. It's fur.
It's fur.
It is fur of a were-tiger.
As far as history goes, could be any number of things. There are stories of many beasts that all have orange hair, including these weird, like, giant orange-furred gorilla people with blue faces and, like, demon horns coming out of their head. Natural 3.5 monster. Look it up. I don't remember what it's called. There's also the possibility of were-tigers, rakshasa, all kinds of things. Baboons, tigers, coyotes, foxes.
Since I am the elf, and I've had a higher nature skill, and I've encountered fellow. Well,
So, from that 17, you're able to identify which range of color it likely belongs to.
which is a tiger.
Orange. So, you're probably looking at some kind of cat.
That's definitely not my lynx because it has gray hair.
Cat. So, C-A-T. So possibly something like a lion, or not a lion, but something more like a tiger, or like a calico, or the orange striped tabbies. It's definitely a bit longer than you would typically find on a tabby. But half again, which means it's not quite as long as a long hair. So it's unlikely to belong to a domestic cat. Wild cat, however, is a strong possibility, which would lead it towards something like a tiger. Or something of that general range of things.
Hello, Commander. Cat fur. Cannot tell if it's calico or tiger.
And if that's calico, that's a very big calico.
Yeah, true.
But it could be a were-calico.
It could.
Those things don't exist. Well, not to my knowledge.
There's no such thing as were-calico. It's myth.
There is such a thing as catfolk, though. They typically don't live around here, though.
And if there's cat folk, then there's a possibility of them being the calico breed.
Yep.
And if they're the calico breed, there's a chance that...
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So, Sergeant Stafford is then going to lead you and some of the other guards that he's going to be picking up along the way to a primary courtyard in the top part of the fort, where many of the troops have kind of gathered and aren't really in rank. They're going to kind of start getting into their rows as soon as the sergeant appears, but they're not already standing in rank and at attention. Look like
I look
they're
over the
all
sergeant
doing like
and
little
says-
conversation circles.
I look over to the sergeant and says, "May I call it?"
Nope.
I could fire an arrow.
Might not be a good idea.
I agree. Okay, never mind.
Fire an arrow in an area where it's surrounded by soldiers. Oh, that's a perfect idea.
So he's going to touch the head of his hammer real quick, which seems to have a slight shimmer for a brief moment. And then he's going to call it in a very much amplified fashion. It even has a slight echo to it, with him yelling out, "Silence!" Which is going to
Pretty much, this is the test to the guy. My guy doesn't say this out loud, but he thinks this is his test. Whether or not he can get these disrespectful clowns to obey.
pretty much.
Guys. Man, dwarves are allowed.
So,
And even though I'm not military, I know the military stance, and my guy will get attention.
Yeah. Oh, and I'd like everyone to make a DC 7 Constitution saving throw.
A Constitution saving throw. Okay.
Yep. And it is not poison, so.
to see whether or not our ears are ringing afterward, because we're standing right next to him.
Yep. But it's only DC 7, so.
My guy goes, wee, all the way to the thing.
Damn it, I can't see the numbers yet.
Wolf is 12. I am 6. Metgath is 23.
Okay. So,
And Wolf is 12.
Said that.
And,
I guess I hear an echo in here.
yeah, your ears are going to be ringing pretty badly after that. And sounds are going to be a bit muffled after that.
Over all deaf.
No.
No.
For Razor,
You and I
it's a
aren't.
bit muffled. But for the rest of you, you're fine. Okay.
We plugged our ears just in time.
Yep.
Oh, that was a close one.
As I get roll 20 up and running again.
That's what I do. As soon as he calls out the when he's calling out the silence, I see him touch his hammer, start to open his mouth. I just stick my fingertips in my ears.
Mainly I just luckily had sap in my ears.
So the crowd falls silent and quickly rushes to their positions and then stays silent. But you hear from just on the other side of the wall, a voice.
What does it say?
Take it away, Apocalyptian.
Well, wait, you're fan? What the hell's happening?
They're hearing you speak.
From where?
On the other side of the wall.
Quiet! Merchant, just stop this show when Christ!
I quickly do a perception check to see if I can understand what the little voice is.
I will try to get up on the wall as quickly as possible.
That would be Goblin and
It's
Speak in
speaking
common, or I'm yelling out in broken common.
with the language Goblin, I can understand your accent and tell what
Common.
I can tell
He's
what you
talking
are.
in common, but it's broken common.
That's why I'm using accent. Goblins have an accent.
Okay, so you're trying a perception check. Razor, you're going to be able to fairly quickly get up onto the wall and look over and see that there's a kind of little area that's been set up. It's basically an alleyway between two of the buildings on the outside of the wall. And there's this little kind of figure with a big hat on. So you're not able to see very much of them, but you can tell that they're short and kind of scrawny. With a very forlorn-looking dwarven lad who's just starting to get his beard in. Because contrary to popular belief, that does not happen till puberty for dwarves.
It looks like there's a runt of a dwarven, and it looks like something with that short and stubby with a big old hat on it.
When I saw Razor running toward the wall, I just kind of glanced over at him, then started watching the guards again. Then he'd holler if there's something important.
It sounded like a goblin. Is that annoying?
You guys look at me like while this dwarf is there just bawling at me. I'm wringing my hands, quite clearly enjoying myself from my body language. At least trying to hide it somewhat.
I'm gonna walk up to the top of the wall, see what Orphic hollering about.
Okay. So the three of you get up there and you see this small figure in this like big kind of coat thing that's kind of fitting when it kind of comes in a bit, and this big hat, kind of rubbing its hands together in style. It's at this point where you guys realize that the flesh there on the hands is green.
I think it's a goblin.
Second that.
And the young dwarf is going to reach into his shirt and pull out this small, very grimy little tiny bag. It looks basically like a bit of cloth that then had some sinew tied around it. And hand it over to the goblin before walking off.
Give him a court bow, and then, disgustingly laughing at myself, tuck the piece of jewelry into my coat, and then begin to try and waltz away into the dark.
I look over at Sage and says, "Can you go follow him?"
Yeah. I go and follow him, jumping over the fence and following him.
All right. Roll a stealth check.
Wait, what are you, Sage? What class are you?
He's a ranger.
Oh, ranger.
Okay.
It's a sec. It went better than I thought.
Oh, come on.
I'm guessing I should roll for Ken.
I suppose it's a question of whether or not you've noticed that people were looking at you.
I mean, you did describe me as having a very large hat, and from above, I'm not sure I'd be very worried. So no, actually.
I think you should roll a perception check.
Yeah, so you should roll a perception check. Sage should roll a stealth check. And then as soon as I get back, I can look at those numbers. Seems like every single time I'm trying to roll for goes out.
I'm gonna look over at over at Orsic and say, "Do you want me to go too?"
If you think you can be invisible and see what he's up to, because I think that's very suspicious of whatever was going on down there this time of night.
Well, it's not really nighttime yet. It's kind of like just a bit before sunset.
Still, it's in the back alley or something.
I give the signal. No, no.
I'm going to. Okay, so what did the guard do after he handed him that bag?
It wasn't a guard. It was a young gentleman, a young dwarf.
Okay. A young dwarf.
He.
What did he do?
He kind of walked off, sobbing to himself.
I say, I'm going to go after the dwarf. And then I'm going to change into my spider form and go after the dwarf. That way I can walk along the walls.
As a giant spider or a normal spider?
It's a giant spider. There's nothing better to treat depression than a giant arachnid crawling down from the top of the fucking...
That's
night. It's a terrible night. Oh god!
The giant spiders are faster, but if I were to change it to a normal spider, I could jump off the wall with a parachute made out of spider silk.
Our spiders that do that.
Yeah, actually, most spiders can do it, at least when they're babies. They just let out a long strand of silk, and then they're able to glide on the breeze. Of course, they can't control where they go, which is the problem.
How windy is it, nerd?
Not very.
You know, I'm going to change into the giant spider, and then head after the dwarf.
Oh, I love this. This is great.
Anywho, with me following Apocalyptian, Apocalyptian got a 20. I got a 22.
Yep, so you'll be able to successfully follow him. As he's basically following the wall, getting further away, trying to slip into the darkness.
Keep with him. Because I am an elf and I have long legs.
By the way, Apocalyptian, you currently have now 11 gold.
Oh! How gracious of him. As you watch me walk away it's clear that I can't help myself, I take out this small satchel of gold pieces and I'm playing with them as I walk away. Clanking and clinging the pieces together, eventually bringing one in my mouth. But
Mind ago. Yep, this is definitely a goblin.
Yeah. So, while you guys are chasing after or following individuals, Razor.
Yes.
You are going to be witness to Sergeant Stafford as he, without magical enhancement this time, starts hollering at the troops a bit. And states that the very same individuals who were up front with him just mere moments ago are attempting to find out who in fact murdered their commanding officer. And if any of them feel that they are capable of the investigation, they are free to sign up and attempt to investigate it. But
I've done the stand next to him.
Yeah. Otherwise, they need to follow their orders. And the orders he gives, he expects to be followed. Disrespecting him is only 3 steps below disrespecting the king. And disrespecting your commanding officer is normally a pretty damn punishable offense. And yeah, these individuals...
If they consider this area to be a war zone, then disrespecting your commanding officer can be treated as treason, which means punishable by death.
Yeah, which is not officially a war zone yet.
I look up and I go, just look at it this way. This is a warning. The army's on the way. This is going to be a war zone. And we're trying to give you the chance to keep your lives. Because if you don't shape up, and you have the disrespect when the army arrives, we have the right, I can't speak right. The commanders will have the right to treat you as God damn it, why can I not speak properly? Traitors. And when you're treated like traitors, let's just say, you know what we do to traitors. And with the army on the way, you better shape up, or I'm going to sit here having popcorn laughing at every single one of you.
Found some?
Like blackberries and meat?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember having this one. I probably tried it. I'm pretty sure I tried it. Blackberries. But,
I'm going to mute myself for a moment.
Okay. So, one of the guards there is gonna... He's older than you by at least twice your age. Or he's twice the age of Orsic.
Wow.
Listen, boy. I'm not gonna be taking orders from no pansy brewmaster.
Oh, now he's done it.
My character will literally bite his lip, and I go, for one, I'm not just a brew master. I'm part of one of the families of the best brewmasters in the land. For one,
Brewing got nothing to do with fighting. If you don't shut your trap, I'll shut it for you.
If you let me finish. Two, the king has asked me to come down here and investigate on what's going on. So I look at it this way. With due all respect, I understand you're an elder. And yes, I know you know more about fighting than I do. But the king himself has asked me to come down here and take care of this. So as it stands right now, the king is all and powerful. He knows all and sees all. So as I can see it right now, as it stands, I am your commander because the king has asked me to come here and make sure that these forts get in working order before the army arrives. So you may be a military person, may outrank me, and you may have more experience than my little pinky.
Razor,
but when the king has asked me to come, I come.
Razor, you're going to have to roll a deception check.
That was a bad spot for me to pop back in. I put my headphones back, my headphones back in, and I heard when the king tells me to come, I come.
Yeah, phrasing. I was gonna say.
Well, more to the point, Razor said that he was sent here to make sure that these forts would be in proper shape when the army arrived. That was not the task that you guys were given.
No.
Yeah.
We were meant to scout and get everything ready in front of the army. That part.
We were also spent to find the dragon.
You guys are sent
to find the dragon and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you guys are sent to find out information that might be connected to the dragon.
Along.
What was that, Adrian?
You guys were sent to find out information about the dragon and the dragon's forces and who was allied with the dragon.
Yeah.
Now, these guards' insubordination could be a part of that, but as far as the functionality of the fort, that's not actually you guys' job. But, it's been said and the roll's been made, so...
And if it turns out that the issues within the fort are being caused by the dragon's allies, then the functionality of the fort could potentially be within our purview.
See, that's what my character is thinking, so that's why I'm going off of that. Anyways, I know I don't decept him, so what is my consequence? I got a 4, so...
Yeah. You can do whatever little task you've been set to do. But the army does our inspections.
That's fine. You got an army member right here, and I'll point to the sergeant.
Just don't start trying to tell us how to do our job. That ain't your job. And if you try, we might just go and try to throw you in the brig. For interrupting the activities
the sergeant's
of
orders
our
earlier
official
when
fort.
He asked me to get the walls up and running. You guys were not following what he asked me to ask you to do. When is the sergeant gonna butt in here?
The sergeant is allowing you to settle the issues that you have because they've not actually said anything against him as of yet.
I'll look over and says, even though he's in the military and he's technically your commander, didn't I hear earlier that you said you don't consider him your commander? Looking at the guy who said it earlier in the day.
Yeah, which is another guy who's like way over onto on one of the other sides of the group of them as they're in their rows.
Formation. The other side of the formation.
Yeah, thank you. He ain't. It's like, he ain't. And to top it all off, he might be the one responsible for the death of our real commander. Directly or indirectly.
Which means they've now accused one of the highest members of law enforcement of treason.
Yep, that's what they just did.
And when that guy says it, I will just literally, my character will take a step back behind the sergeant.
Yeah, the sergeant is going to walk over to the...
Now it's his turn.
Yeah, he's going to walk over to the person in question, who's, by the way, not currently wearing a helmet.
Oh shit.
Because
oh shit.
when you're scanning information, you shouldn't have your helmet on.
Yeah.
Stupid frickin' face... I wish I could figure out how to turn those things off. Facebook just did a thing.
That's lighter.
And he is just going to straight up smack this guy with his hammer right upside the head.
Shit.
Gonna hurt.
That's gonna hurt
now. He survived.
Yeah.
How awkward would it be if you got a nat 1 right now? I'd imagine very.
It wasn't a nat 1. This is technically a surprise attack, so... Surprise attack did it. Okay, so I believe it's a... Yeah, this is a two-handed swing, so there's that.
Oh, this is gonna hurt!
So he cracks this guard upside the head with his hammer, with both hands. And the soldier is going to fall down, and he's still conscious. A bit of blood coming out of the side of his head. It was a pretty substantial thwack. But the guard is still conscious.
Mhm.
Until the army gets here, I am your commanding officer. I am the authority of law here. When the army gets here, if you wish to make accusations then, you can make them to them. I had nothing to do with the death of your commanding officer. And if I get any more insubordination, I will do worse than what I just did to each person who has done insubordination. We must have discipline. We must act quickly. And we cannot falter. Does anyone else have any further arguments with my orders? Crickets. Except that there's no crickets around because it's just dead silence.
Too bad my guy's off following someone. Otherwise, I'd take something out, something small like a needle, and drop it.
I'm currently tracking Apocalyptian.
If you doubt the investigation, if you would doubt the investigators, then you can always confirm whatever orders I give from me or my trainee. Otherwise, you are to treat the investigators as investigators, and the respect due to them as official investigators. They are our detectives for the time being. And if one of you actually had a scrap of magical talent, we might be able to use your expertise for this investigation.
Wink, wink.
Otherwise,
Nudge, nudge.
tend to your duties.
Alright.
Dismissed.
Is that over?
And he's going to then pick up the guard who is doing insubordination and drag him off, literally.
I'll follow him.
He's going to be leading him over to that medical pavilion.
The physician's hut.
Yes, thank you.
What's the sergeant's name again?
Sergeant Stafford. Torek Stafford.
I go, Stafford, I do apologize if I overstepped my bounds.
I can somewhat understand their unease. However, insubordination in a time of crisis like this is inexcusable on their part.
Yes, it is. Like I said, I'm sorry if I overstepped my bounds. I was trying to get them to admit to the treason so that way you can actually see it for yourself.
Meanwhile,
So that way you knew I was not lying. And I do apologize if I overstepped my bounds.
Okay, so next I think we'll cut over to Denault, following that young dwarf who's going to be going out into one of the more public street areas, where your form will become very, very conspicuous.
once you when does it become? When does the curfew kick in?
In about half an hour.
Okay. As he moves into the more public areas, I'm going to drop down onto this. I'm going to drop down into a side alley and switch back into my normal form.
Okay.
And I'm going to follow him. I'm going to be trying to catch up with him. I'm going to be moving faster than him.
All right. So you're going to need to make a perception
Moving as
check.
if I'm on some important business.
All right. You're going to need to make a perception check to see him again, or to be able to find him again as soon as you come out of the alley.
Okay.
Is it the natural one?
I haven't rolled yet. $14.
All right. So you're able to spot him again. He's still sobbing. And making his way through.
Actually, I'm going to move up behind. I'm going to come up to him. I'm not actually going to be trying to hide at this point, because I'm just going to be like, hey, what's wrong?
It's my baby sister.
What about her?
She talked to me from the dead.
Really?
It cost me all I had, but it was worth it.
What does my guy know about that type of thing? Probably not much.
Make a religion or arcana check.
Okay, let's see here. I know I suck at arcana.
I suspect your religion isn't much better.
No, they're the same. So I'll just roll one. 6. Okay.
Was it arcana or was it religion?
I rolled arcana.
Okay. There's supposed to be spells that can do that kind of thing. I mean, there's also supposedly items that can do that kind of thing, where you can talk to dead people.
Okay.
So that stuff's supposed to exist.
But my guy doesn't know for certain whether or not it does.
He's never actually directly encountered it. The closest that he's come to is talking to the nature spirits.
Could you, by chance, guide me to the person who did this? I might have some questions for the person. And I'm going to pull out. Take a look at my. That's right. My money never got transferred over.
Oh. Can you handle it, or? No, I'll do it, because you're still on your phone.
Yeah, I still have, like, the gold piece, and I say, "This is for your time. If you can lead me to the person." Also, why are you crying? Is it just because she's dead, or is it because of what was said?
She said that they lied about her death being natural.
How long ago did she die?
About 3 months ago.
Okay.
I normally run a farm a bit north of here. Mostly grown corn. It's owned by the Grindstone clan, but I work it.
Okay.
The Grindstone clan
Have there been any?
One of several large clans that happens to do lots of grain.
Okay. So does he say whether or not he can lead me to the person?
I can try to lead you to him. I'll have to ask Brett. He's the one who made the arrangements to meet in the alley.
Okay.
I don't have much time, though.
I say, and I just look him in the eyes and I say, "Don't worry. I work for the king." Adrian, if he, actually, I'm going to use my earring real quick. I'm going to say, let's see here. Hey, Orsic, are you still with the sergeant?
Orsic.
John?
Razor?
Oh no.
I guess he poofed on us. Okay, I guess I'll relay. I imagine he probably would have asked the sergeant what I was going to ask. If I'm with a person escorting them, are they allowed to be out past curfew? As long as I escort them back to where they're supposed to be. After all, we have permission, and he's now officially announced that we are investigators for the investigators for the king.
And the elf.
So, the short answer is that, yes, you can escort them. However, you should probably try to avoid running into patrols while escorting the individual. You shouldn't like sneak and skulk around, but you should probably avoid them. Because they're already unhappy enough.
Yeah. Okay, so do our darndest to avoid sight of the patrols just to minimize the possibility of issues.
Yeah.
But legally I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to escort him.
Yeah.
Okay. I say, I tell him, I'm an investigator for the king. I'm allowed to be out after curfew, and as long as you are with me, you are allowed to be out after curfew because I'm escorting you. Now, there's some issues right now, so I'm going to do my best to steer us clear of the guards. They're just a little nervous right now with everything that's going on.
The old commander said that anyone who's caught out after curfew who wasn't wearing a uniform was to be killed on sight.
And I say that would the civilians know yet that the commander's dead?
It's fairly likely that they would know.
And he said the old commander?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I say, and this is from the mouth of, and this is relayed from the mouth of the new commander.
All right then. I'll lead you to Brett, who'll then hopefully be able to tell me how to find the mage. Supposed to have all kinds of magic thingies.
I have to mention that the next time everybody's together, they should hand Sage one of those earrings that they can communicate
We only have one for each person. However, if I don't remember his name, the guy that's talking about quitting, the guy that was quitting.
Raxmo.
Yeah, Rex. If he actually has quit and his character's quitting the party, then we could collect his earring because he wouldn't have no longer have any need to communicate with us. I think that would be fair, but anyway, so yeah. We head off to go find the other guy.
Yep.
Which I am currently tailing.
Yeah, well, we're looking for someone else that will lead us to the mage.
Alright, this one.
So, nerd?
Yep. So.
Do we continue with me, or does it switch over to...
We're going to be switching over to Sage and Apocalyptian now.
Okay.
Oh, Apocalyptian.
Yes, indeed.
Goody.
So I imagine it's probably going to
This is going to be tortured.
Yeah, I imagine that Apocalyptian is probably heading towards the free quarters that he's been provided because he didn't have any before.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Because it's required that
Sage
everyone
is
be given
carefully
quarters.
trailing him. And since I know it's getting darker, and I have dark vision, I can easily track him. Right.
So, like, what kind of quarters have I been given?
It's a pretty simple room. About 5 feet by about 10 feet. Has an actual bed. And something that is like a nightstand. Plus a chest at the foot of the bed which is bolted to the floor.
Pudding.
Sorry, the chest has been pinned to the floor.
Bolted.
Bolted? I would have most likely tried to...
Yeah, mind you, it's a bit big and bulky for carrying around.
Oh, I wouldn't want the chest. I would want the bolts.
Ah.
That's a goblin.
Because goblin, yes. That's the...
Okay, I'm going to make a hidden roll to see if you have the bolts. Okay.
Turns out he broke a finger trying to remove the bolt.
Yes, and then I can replace the finger with bolt.
Okay, so
Thinking.
the bolts were pretty darn sturdy. You didn't ever manage to actually get them off.
I frown at my efforts being in shrug, and then turn back to my piles and piles of scrolls.
Yep.
I'm just really surprised that the mage has not noticed the probably 6'3" tall elf trailing him.
Well, you're used to tracking animals and such, so, I mean, there's that.
And also the fact that he's kind of distracted with
Gold.
I'm saying this since we only have about an hour left, and no one's watching. I'm going to stop the live stream.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
It feels good to be able to play with dice again.
They're at the goblin.
Yeah, so, the goblin is kind of... He's gone back into the fort, into the main building, past all these guards, and into this room, which has a shorter door than many of the other doors. It's only about 4 feet tall, instead of the standard 7 feet.
Oh, I can keep an eye on him to see if I should capture him or to just ignore him.
I mean, so far you've had no evidence of any. The guy was crying, handed him a ring, and that guy happened to be fucking doing some weird shit with his hands, but apart from that, that's pretty much it.
And again, since I am an elf and my favorite enemy to kill is goblin and orc,
You're extra
know
suspicious.
what goblins do.
Extra suspicious. So, so this goblin's kind of gone into this room and is starting to, he's playing with the few coins that he has and starts moving around all these rolls of paper with seals on them. They've all been, officially sealed.
Watch.
Go ahead and make a history check.
History check?
Yeah, history.
Okay. One.
Those certainly are scrolls.
Yeah. Scrolls.
Or at least rolls of papers with
No,
seals
it's
on
like
them.
Yeah.
At least you think they're scrolls.
They look a whole lot like scrolls. They could also be maps or letters. It's kind of hard to tell.
Anyway, I'll just go back to watching what the goblin is doing.
Yeah, so he's kind of moving these things around and seems to be kind of getting himself set up. Go ahead and roll another stealth check, which is going to be countered by one of Chok's perception checks.
Oh, I hope for this to... Oh, God! Oh, that was investigation.
It's in a natural 20.
That sure is a 5.
5 on that perception check versus 16. Okay. Even if I give you the 10, you didn't make it. So,
I'm completely oblivious to your fucking...
So, Chok, you do happen to know that the guards are going to be by fairly...
We both have dark vision! No, I'm there!
Yeah. So,
Staring in through this window, and I don't know that
What
you're
was
there!
that, nerd?
alright. So, there's no windows on this room, by the way. None whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
It's just the door as the only opening. One way in, one way out. But you know that the guards are supposed to be coming by soon and are going to be probably... they'll probably yell at you if you don't have your door closed by the time they come by. So what are you going to do?
Me or him?
Chok.
Yeah, I close my door and I continue.
Okay. So, the goblin will come over and close the door into Sage's face.
Well, I already went into the room if I'm watching him move the scrolls.
No, you were able to watch from the doorway. If you go into the room, there's not really anywhere to hide.
Are you walking into the doorway? Oh, wait, no, sorry, keep going.
Well, before he closes the door, I quickly sneak in, seeing how he's completely...
He's pretty oblivious, but he's not quite Nat 1 levels. And without cover, you basically don't get a stealth check.
No.
That would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you don't have him
hide behind his back.
Okay, so you try to sneak in behind his back, and as he whips around to deal with the door, and after that he's going to be whipping back around. He's definitely going to be seeing you some point during all of that. So, Chok, you now have an elf in your room.
But that would take another series of rolls, though, correct?
Without cover, you are denied access to a stealth check. Unless you have hide in plain sight.
How do you hide behind the chest?
The chest is not nearly
You
big
can
enough.
hide behind the chest. No, man, no, fam. What we're gonna do, you're gonna go inside the chest, stay in there all night long, staring at me, making sure I don't do anything.
What's the Mask of the Wild perk I have for my features and traits?
Yes, which means that if you're in a slightly obscured area, such as a fog, rain, some slight, foliage or whatnot, then you can still have your stealth check. There's nothing in here for you to hide behind.
But the shadows. What type of light is illuminating the room?
Probably none, but both of you have dark vision. Lighting doesn't matter. With dark vision, lighting does not matter.
Oh, God.
There is no stealth check inside this room.
Basically, he's probably going to turn around and go, "Who the hell are you?" And he's going to go, "Oh, crap."
Watch him yell, "I'm with the king," as he enters.
No, I'm most likely going to go, "Hello."
I quickly
the thing
turn
is-
around.
He's not with the king. The rest of the party is.
I'm just a random elf to them.
He's just an elf that joined us mid-party. Mid-campaign.
Stare at the goblin.
Now I'm the goblin. Yes, indeed. Holy shit. Alright, so do you literally just say hello?
Hey, hello.
Okay, I stop everything I'm doing and snap in your direction, ready to just fucking blow some shit as I wail magic in the air and prepare to blow the intruder who dared enter my domain without permission.
I have to say one thing. Were you completely oblivious of the entire trip?
What have you found?
sent myself. I was asked to follow you, and you, since I know your kind, well enough to know your language, that you probably did something bad to that little dwarf. And again, all dwarves are small to me. That's your answer. And yet again, this is in perfect goblin.
And realizing
that you are a man of decency for having to know the intricate and, quite frankly, beautiful language that is goblin-y, immediately changes his vernacular and entire language, sounding quite different, and actually trying to speak to you legitimately. Goes, "You have no right to come into my room without anyone's express permission. I don't care if someone told you to follow me. Why are you here?"
Well, good question. But seeing how your goblin kind are usually just up to something no good, seeing that you tried to take the bolts from the chest, I'm surprised that you've managed at least moving it.
Oh, that's way before you even entered. Like, that's when I actually got the reservation. That shit would have been done the moment I entered.
Oh, yeah.
Your character never saw this shit.
Oh, yeah, but he is really effective.
I mean, is it obvious that I tried prying the...
It's not obvious, but the chest has probably moved like an inch in all of your efforts.
So, may I ask your name, Mage? And I'm Sage.
Good. Now leave! I have important things to do without having to worry about some sneak coming up behind me in the middle of the night like a perverted eye seem to roll down. I know you want me, you absolute crazy fool! I start whooshing you away with my hands.
Fine, you grumpy ass goblin. Exit the room. Before
I slam the door behind you and go back to my...
Before you get a chance to open up the door, that was me attempting to do a knocking on wood.
You okay? That sounded like it hurt.
It did.
Okay, alright. I, about to open the door, suddenly looked a bit quizzical, and then decide to open it.
Outside are a couple of the guard.
I speak in Goblin because of the conversation. Back to... Why are you here?
One of the guards looks to the other and kind of shrugs, and then the, so there's a male and a female, by the way, both dwarves. Because, you know, dwarves everywhere. And, the female is going to, kind of... You are Chok, yes? The goblin merchant who's claiming all sorts of things?
Yes!
Common or goblin?
That was in common.
Well, I regret to inform you that we have a warrant for your arrest.
What? What did I do?
falsifying documents, selling fake merchandise, impersonating a wizard of which academy was it? It doesn't really matter, does it?
No! You have wrong! Fuck down straight! I point to a wall, realize my mistake, and then quickly try and turn my arm the other direction from which I once came.
I tap the female guard's shoulder. I could take him to Orsic, which is who I'm helping with the investigation of the strange events. It would probably be better if that would be possible, unless you want to take him to the brig.
I'd rather not have to file the paperwork, but as far as I know, your friend, yes?
Orsic.
Mr. Steelmaul is currently with the sergeant.
And I was sent to follow this goblin by him.
Well, if he's part of your investigation, then I suppose you get priority.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, when you are done with him, we do want him, and he must pay for his crimes with the fines of upward of, what was it, around 1,500 gold pieces? 2,500 gold pieces.
Case, after our investigation is done, he will be returned to the new guard's care after the investigation. But in the meantime, he will be under me or Six charge underneath an investigation.
Alright. I suspect that I suspect that Orsic and the sergeant were headed over to the physician's pavilion.
Goody. Do you
want us to
have
escort
any,
you, or do you think you have it under control?
What?
Would you like us to walk with you, or do you think you have it under control?
I think I have this under control, since goblins are really, well, I know they're perceptive, but I'll easily catch them.
Where's that background noise coming from?
That would be Medgath. I grab out my 50-foot hemp rope, wrap it around the goblin, probably.
I struggle.
Do I roll a strength check?
So it's an athletics check versus athletics check.
God damn it!
So the goblin is very quick and slippery, and very good apparently at dodging rope.
Damn it, get back here!
I might need a hand behind him as he's walking down the street.
With a flourish of his hands and sparkles and bullshit, Chok pulls out invisibility from his ass and tries to fucking slink away into the night.
Okay, you're trying to cast a spell, yes?
Yes.
You're in melee range of 3 other creatures. Okay, so that is 3 attacks of opportunity on you.
Yes.
And I can't roll at the moment,
You
dang it.
do know I have close quarter combat for my archery.
Ah, which means you could use your bow. Although you're currently using a rope, so melee weapon would make more sense if you have one.
Oh, yeah, I do have one. It's currently on my back, well, actually it's on my side of my chest, and within arm's reach. I just drop the rope and grab my bow, and quickly sling an arrow.
Okay.
Close quarters combat.
Chok, what is your AC?
My AC is 14.
Well, one of the guards definitely hit.
And I do,
Both of the guards hit.
And he hits.
Yep. Everyone sees him pull out his hands and fucking strikes down the goblin where he's at.
He starts doing, these gestures and stuff, and they're just like, nope, smack.
Oh, God, this is beautiful.
Okay.
This is fine art.
ever since the goblin is probably not gold.
So I'm going to need some help with some dice rolling, because I don't seem to have access to the...
I'll gladly roll their damage, just...
Well, I have 2 pounds of dice in front of me. What do you need rolled?
I need 2 d8s rolled.
Chok actually has some pretty good health for a wizard.
That's not gonna save him against...
Okay, so how much damage is Sage doing?
You rolled a 19, and that'd be 150 divided by 60.
That was to hit. Now you click the +1 longbow. That should roll your damage.
Piercing.
Right, so how much damage is that in total?
18.
Yep, I'm fine.
Well, plus another 6 because of strength modifier for the dwarves.
And I'm dead.
No.
Unconscious, not dead.
It would leave you unconscious.
Yep, that's the term. Yes, I am unconscious. I mean, technically I'm dead if once they bring me the guillotine, that's gonna be fun. So yeah, guys, it was fun playing with you. Chok the Goblin. Short adventure.
Except technically, when you come to, you'll be in our custody. You won't be in the guard's custody yet.
You're really spared. If you really try to help us, you could be spared from death.
Well,
saying this to actual unconscious body.
Take him with us as a suspect,
I have a plan, guys. Don't worry.
Subject of interest.
I already have a plan.
Well, since I now see the now unconscious goblin, I now finally wrap him up in the rope.
And the female guard is going to slap a pair of manacles on him and hand you a key.
Quick, I just put the key into one of the many pouches I have on me, and I pick up the dwarf and carry him on my shoulder, and I walk to the physician.
You mean goblin?
No. The dwarf picks up the goblin, and he picks up the dwarf. This is canon.
No. He's picking up the goblin.
Oh.
He didn't have the time for carrying the dwarf and the goblin.
And then one of the dwarves from the party picks up the elf, and then that's how the adventure begins.
Okay, so you're heading off to the.
So I summon a bear. I jump on the bear, and then the elf jumps on the bear. So we have a bear carrying an elf carrying a goblin.
Oh, don't forget my companion. We have a bear carrying an elf, carrying a goblin, carrying links.
So, anyway.
Oh wait, shit! We forgot about something.
What?
As you carry the goblin, something scurries in his robes, and a furry fucking weasel pops out from underneath his clothes. Looks up at you.
And,
Look down at it.
yeah, I know it's kind of.
Sniffs at you.
I know this is kind of, pointless, but let's try to keep some of this working down.
Okay. I'm gonna roll animal handling.
Oh shit. Yeah, no, the weasel just comes too. Nuzzles in your palm.
What was
Weasel.
the roll?
That was a 23 for animal handling, my...
Okay, so it's not actually like nuzzling him, it's just kind of looking at him. Makes a little noise. Dives back down again.
Open up a pouch. Hey, open it. There you go.
It's staying with its master.
Alright. Carry the goblin.
It chews on one of my fingers.
Okay,
You wake up with a stub.
there's something that some of the players forgot about, and that the guards kind of forgot about.
What?
Which means, Chok, I'm going to need you to roll a, what is it labeled as? A death save.
Oh, yes indeed.
I just realized I've been talking to myself for the last 5 days.
Oh no.
You pulled a cow.
That's, yeah.
Is he dead?
Nope.
No, that was a failed death. Means I'm not dead yet. I still have 2 to make. Fail.
Yep, so roll again.
I'm not dead yet!
You'll be stone cold dead in a moment.
I'm not dead yet! So, another one.
Okay.
That's a success.
Because no one seems to remember that you're currently bleeding out.
Bleeding out. You guys
actually, this
chat
is-
pleasantly with each other. Chok certainly mumbles in his unconscious near-death experience. His weasel continues to chew on the wound, eventually licking blood off as it continues to spurt out occasionally.
Alright. It's actually at this point where when Sage, you will notice the fact that it seems to be bleeding on you actively.
I cast Cure Wounds.
Oh, nice. And so you now get to clear both the success and the failure, and you heal that many hit points, however much that is.
Yes. Yep.
Which means that you can now become conscious.
Still wrapped in lots of rope.
Well, here's a very important...
What is the very important question?
Did you or did you not tie his mouth shut?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. That was a very important thing I needed to get out.
I have to cut this short because I have to go to bed. Hang on. Never mind. Okay. As you were saying,
Alright.
since his mouth is now shut,
I wake up and I just muffled screams, essentially, or yelling, rather.
Basically, Chok is considered being arrested or kidnapped.
I mean, for him, it's practically the same shit.
well, I'm just glad I don't have to listen to his screams.
Pleasant silence.
More like I don't know what the hell to say.
Ow. Okay.
One moment. Okay. As I walk to the tent, enjoying the nice silence.
Yeah. So, okay,
Going
so
up
what's...
with Orsic and the commander.
Yeah, so while that's going on, Metgath, Denault, having been led to this one dwarf's place, which is basically a crate that's been turned into a shack, about the same size as an outhouse.
Okay.
And the dwarf there will give you directions to a room inside the fort itself. And as you're headed back towards the fort, getting ready to go inside, you will see walking out of the fort, or sorry, out of the main building of the fort, out of the keep, you will see Sage with a something on his back that seems to be wriggling a bit, and there's muffled screaming noises. Angry muffled screaming noises.
The screaming gets louder as it progresses.
I look over at Sage and I say, "Is that the goblin?"
It's an angry.
Okay. And I say, well, turns out he told he said that what the guy was paid him for was, he claimed, speaking to the guy's dead sister.
Yeah. You guards were going to bust him for fraud. Priceless or items. So right now, he's currently being alive in my hands.
He did speak to my baby sister. He did speak to my baby sister, even knew her name.
He's a mage.
Well, actually, Adrian, once there really wasn't any need for this guy to come all the way with me. Once I found out where the guy was that I was going to be looking for, I probably would have taken him.
Dropped him off
I
along the
probably
way?
would have taken him back. Huh?
Dropped him off along the way?
Yeah, dropped him off along the way. Thanking him for his assistance and leaving him with the gold that I promised him.
Alright, and for our commenters down below, please remind me as to what the name of the gypsy wagon thing is called. It starts with a B, I don't remember what it is. Please put it down in the comments. But that's basically what the guy ended up going back into, was something like that.
What am I going to do with this?
So, I assume that all of you are now headed to the physician's tent, or the physician's pavilion?
Yes.
First off, the goblin, are his eyes covered?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
No.
Okay.
Just as
I'm going to walk along. I'm going to walk up to where he can see me. I'm going to look over at him, and I'm going to say, "Be very quiet."
Chok does not stay quiet. Somehow, you're not really sure how, manages to scream even louder, despite the muffled
I pop my shillelagh and thwack him on the head.
Oh my god.
Just goblin is getting so much abuse. Roll the shillelagh.
Oh, God.
And his AC has been reduced to,
I'm ready for goblin torture, holy shit.
9.
That does not hit me.
So, you technically don't actually hit him because you didn't make 10.
No, what he probably ends up is affecting me.
No, he just kind of whiffs and comes like real close to hitting him in the nose.
Missed.
The big, long, protruding nose.
Muffled screaming intensifies.
Wait, is his nose long? No, he has a snub nose. So, yeah.
Well, we have one wandering goblin in my hands.
Probably more terrified than anything else.
Oh no, the goblin is, well, I mean, the goblin is afraid, but he does not look scared at all. In fact, strangely enough, he looks completely and utterly convinced that he is somehow, in his mind, is succeeding in this overall adventure. Like, somehow there's light at the end of the fucking rainbow.
I really don't like goblins.
Alright. So,
Please, screaming.
I'm going to fast forward up to back to the pavilion. Get everyone back together. You spent more than enough time with everyone kind of separated and across the landscape.
Oh, and I'm going to inform the guards along the way where they can locate the person, the latest person that he has cheated.
There's no guards currently with Sage, but I guess there are some guards along the way.
Yeah, there would be some guards along the way. Inform them of the person that we have in our custody, and tell them about the where to locate the latest person that he has cheated.
Just notice, if I'm holding the goblin, any agility task or to take will really diminished.
He'd be rolling with disadvantage, however, he would also gain the benefit of whatever you managed to roll.
Right.
So, get back.
So,
I sit on a bench holding the really angry goblin.
He has since quieted down somewhat, but you realize now that the only reason he had trying to bite through the rope.
Of course he's trying to bite through the rope.
Look at him. Have fun. That is Elven Maid. You're gonna have a fun time trying to bite through that.
So, Orsic.
Yes.
Sage and Denault have come in with something that has been tied up. And there's some clanking of metal with the thing as well. And the sergeant seems to be taking a keen interest in whatever it is that your friends have found.
I'll raise an eyebrow like, what did you guys do? What the hell is that?
Free goblin.
There's a goblin?
It's the thing that you told me to follow.
I was hoping it wasn't one of those.
Welcome to my world. I have to hold this thing.
Shh! We need to be quiet. People need to rest. They need to rest, please. They need to rest.
Is he saying that to me?
The physician is saying that to everyone, basically.
Oh.
Then he's going to go back to tending wounds. In particular, tending the head wound of that one guard who got clocked.
It's just been a full fun fest.
Is this everything you hoped for, nerd? Was this expected the party? It's the one I expected.
I'm making it work.
You probably weren't expecting us to beat the crap out of our new party member.
I wasn't expecting him to take that much beating.
I wished for it.
What was that, nerd?
I wasn't quite expecting him to take quite so many beatings, but
Oh, what? I came into this expecting the beating, man. All of them to just say, fuck it, he's not worth it, and to immediately try and assassinate him, but no, they're trying to work with him.
Trying.
Well, they're trying to follow the laws, what they're trying to do.
I was just irritated at your screaming, which is why I took a swing at you.
And Sage is currently trying to keep you alive because you could hold valuable information. But
anyway,
shit hits the fan and we get attacked by a word tiger. You're bait.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Oh, what fun this will be. Oh, anyway, as you were saying, nerd.
Okay. So. The sergeant. Is that Chok?
Something.
And he's gonna...
Might I have gotten the name of the person I was looking for?
Yes, Brett would have told you.
I say yes.
Oh, awesome reaction.
Words out on you, boy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. And he's gonna actually walk up and like, get like real close to Chok's face. Like maybe
Chok,
like
actually,
3
for the
inches.
first time in what you think is the start of this journey, stop screaming.
Thank God.
It seems attentive for once at what someone asked.
I have a proposition for you.
Did I remove his cloth or the rope from his mouth?
After I'm done with my proposition.
Alright.
Better yet, he should have said yes or no, because I think a goblin muted and tied up is the best way, because you can never quite trust a goblin. Those
I caught an eyebrow at that comment.
What?
I cock an eyebrow at that comment and
Once me and Orsic agree on something.
Well, he's from the Goblin Mount, and if there's one thing that they're willing to do, is follow a contract. Even if it's just a verbal one. Although Chok here seems to be, perhaps a little bit different, but we'll see. So, Chok, my proposition. Instead of giving you a rather hefty fine and potential time in jail in a dungeon,
Death penalty.
none of his crimes are quite extreme enough for that. However, to avoid jail time and potentially enhanced interrogation techniques being employed to lessen the amount of time of your sentence, I will commute your sentence to community service. I know that you do have some magical talent, especially for getting away from us, as well as our allies.
Chok smiles at that.
I'm gonna have to say something. I'm gonna have to cut it short for today because it is currently 10 p.m. where I am.
Well, we're almost at the break point that I was trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
If you can hold on for like 10 more minutes.
Well,
but
carry on. I've got 10 more minutes and 10 more minutes.
10 minutes and 10 seconds.
Anyway,
So-
continue.
You can do some community service for the investigation, helping out our investigative team into a set of murders. And then after that, you can do some service for our king, in exchange for your record being wiped here and in all of our allied nations.
Chok's eyes grow wide at that.
Including the somewhere around 5,000 gold pieces that you owe back in Telerium. And nothing to say of the Black Axe clan, which I believe the sentence that they have set for you is actually execution. And we'll make that all go away for a bit of community service. Do you like this prospect?
Chok nods. Yes, he would like his record completely wiped. Yes!
I still don't like the idea, but hey.
Well, hey, he's got a good motivation now.
Two. That, and I want my hemp rope back.
Yeah, it's just completely saturated in goblin saliva now.
I look over
Can't
at
forget
Denault.
about the blood.
I look over at Denault and I go, do you think you can keep this little person in check?
I say, one moment. First off, have I seen his little companion?
The weasel that's currently biting his finger into
You have seen some movement.
Have I seen the weasel? I've noticed movement.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I should
Okay.
mention he has a weasel.
I'm going to take a look at that spot, see what it is, see what the movement is.
It's currently biting his finger, and from what you can tell, that might just be why he was screaming so long, though it could also legitimately just have been anger.
Yeah, a little weasel that's kind of lapping up at a little cut on the goblin's finger.
I cast, what was it, Talk with Animals?
Speak with animals. Okay.
Speak with Animals, yeah. I cast Speak with Animals.
Oh, God.
And I look at the weasel and I'm like, hello! How well do you know him?
I'm not sure where to go with this. Like, do I play him or do you play?
It's my job to play the familiar.
Alright then, yeah, go for it.
Which I do have a kind of personality in mind for it.
I mean, it's It's the weasel he uses to pickpocket people. Literally, its only purpose in life, or rather, other than just pleasing its master, is to go around the streets and stealthily try and pick people's pockets for their wallets.
Yeah, well, it's also got the thing of, you know, being a familiar, which means that it's smarter than the average weasel.
Yeah.
So...
What's connected to Chok?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
okay,
so
so
I look
weasel.
at the weasel and I just start squeaking. As I start talking to it.
Yeah.
Squeak, squeaker.
As far as anyone else knows, I just start squeaking.
Just stare at him and go,
I am him and he is me.
no, that's one ability I've felt.
What was that, nerd?
I am him and he... I am him and he is me. So, by the way, Sage... You may roll a nature check or a... Actually, just roll me a intelligence check. Or no, wisdom, because that's your thing, wisdom. Wisdom is your jam.
No, actually, you were right the first time. Intelligence.
Intelligence or wisdom. One of the two.
I will do both. Go with wisdom. The wisdom save.
Okay. If somebody can read that result to me.
Has a 15 on wisdom.
Okay. So you're able to actually understand what they're communicating to each other.
Yeah.
Because
But I can't speak it, I just can understand.
yeah.
So, my character being a druid, would I have the concept of the familiar?
It's more of an arcane thing. You're used to animal companions, which you are bonded with, but they're not a part of you they're not a part of you in a literal sense. They're a part of you. They're bonded to you though.
I'm gonna say, so you're his companion?
I'm his familiar. He's a wizard. By the way, do you have a
Okay.
pouch?
I say, why?
But you're never gonna find it.
Because I need to know if people have money pouches.
No, I don't have a money pouch.
And well hidden.
You must be poor. And the sergeant is going to go ahead and untie Chok's mouth. And
I'm going to ask it, can he be trusted at his word?
depends on the word.
A verbal contract. If he agrees to assist us, can we trust him to assist us and not hinder us?
He won't hinder.
But would he assist?
Yes? At least I think so.
Well,
He'll assist you like I assist him.
What was that? It said that he would assist us, like he assists him.
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, okay. Well, I say, well, that's this. I still say this to the anyone else on this trip. My guy doesn't really... Here's the thing. Would my guy know that your guy can hear? Nerd?
Well, he knows that the ranger can hear it. He doesn't necessarily know if the ranger's understanding it. That'd be a insight check.
That would be a what?
Insight check.
Insight?
I can hear him.
22!
Yeah. So
yeah.
the ranger is in fact understanding what you guys are, or what you guys are communicating to each other in at least some sense.
And I switch back to common. I say, "What? You're going to dispute that?" And I say, and I look over at the others and I say, "If he agrees to assist us, I believe that he can be trusted at least somewhat."
Trust him more than me.
And if he decides to step out of line, well, we can handle him. And I look over at you and I say, "What was that?"
I just give this look of this look of disgust. Really? Just really?
I say, "Well, no one vouched for you, animal or otherwise, so really it is the best guarantee we've had so far."
Me, I was the one that bloody thing.
No, I'm talking about when we first met.
True, but I have proven my worth more than once. Have I not?
I see. Anyway.
I trust you'll all have this under control. I am off to bed.
First off, did he actually agree during to assist?
He did. He shook his head yes. Or he nodded his head.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Finally,
is there any last moment interactions you guys want to have with each other, or do we want to open up with that next time?
We'll open up the next time.
Okay.
Because someone has got to go to bed.
Yep.
Alright.
Goody.
Alright.
Well, that was my first session, guys.
Already, I'm very, yeah, anyways.
Already, I can tell you guys, Chok is your favorite character.
No, it's more like I don't trust your character, there's a difference.
Oh, like, on the contrary, I don't think Chok will ever betray you guys. And
yeah, but when you first
I
run
don't
in,
think you understand just how to have his record cleaned.
So anyway, closing comments and stuff.
Yeah, time to wrap this up. So, for all of you watching back at home, after our time of running this, if you like this episode, hit the like button. In the comments, let me know about that wagon thing, and let us know what you think of Apocalyptian joining up the group.
Oh yeah?
We will miss Raxmo, but life...
No comment.
Life is hard. If you want to help support us, please hit the subscribe button. And to be kept up to date on all our nerdy content, hit the Nerd Alert bell after that. Yeah, so I think that's most of it. So, till next time, be awesome to each other.
No regrets, man. That was awesome. That was exactly, except more aggressively.
And nerd, the gypsy wagon does not start with a B. It starts with a V. Vardo.